Hey folks, I'm Bill Langer. You're watching Traditional Adventures TV, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing 7 years of moose footage that I captured on my cell phone while deer hunting here in Connecticut. I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you for your continued support. I hope you enjoy. I'm hunting deer here in Connecticut. I've got a moose that walked right up to me. Less than 10 feet. This first scene is a moose that I filmed in Hartland, Connecticut. Although I had seen lots of different moose over the years driving down the road, this is the first one I had ever seen while hunting. It's a pretty cool experience. First moose I've seen while hunting in the wild in Connecticut. That was pretty cool. I got right up within about 80 yards of him. I could have gotten closer. I didn't want to surprise him too much. I'm glad he went the other way and not towards me. There's something truly magical seeing the world's largest deer up close and personal. I was on my way to the tree stand with my bow and arrow when I ran into this cow. She stuck around for a little bit and I was able to get some pretty good footage of her. I was still hunting for deer on this November day when I ran into this bull. I got my phone out and shot some quick footage of him moving through the brush. He's a really good bull, especially for Connecticut. I was sitting on a rocky ledge, still hunting for the day, when I heard heavy footsteps in the brush, and this young bull stepped out. He ended up milling around in front of me for about 15 minutes. At this point, he's only about 20 yards away. It made the time pass quickly on stand, having him around me, but after a little while he decided he was moving on to greener pastures. Fifth different moose I've seen out in the MDC, 2017. Second bull. The other bull I saw was much bigger 2 days ago. Pretty cool. I was on an early September bow hunt in Canton, Connecticut when this young bull showed up. I had actually seen him a ways off and made some calls to him and drew him in. He walked underneath my tree stand a couple of times actually. I didn't get it all on film, but he spent quite a bit of time looking for the cow that wasn't there. Having an animal this size right underneath you is something to be seen.
A young bull moose here in Connecticut. I've seen 3 deer today and a little bull moose. And yesterday I saw 3 bears. Game-rich environment.
It was a cold, windy day that I was still hunting through an old clear cut, moving my way through the brush and thick briars, when I ran into these 2 twins, a young cow and a young bull. They didn't like me showing up in their bedroom and quickly moved off. I ran into these 2 bulls driving out of the forest one day. I had stopped several times to try to let them run up in the woods, and they would just stop and stand there. I'd move forward with the truck and they'd start running down the road again. So I just drove slowly and followed them out. Pay attention here as these bulls come around the corner. You can actually see a black bear run across the road. It's like being in the wild kingdom. The bulls veer off when they see the bear, but he quickly moves up into the brush, and the bulls continue down the road. Eventually they veered off and headed up the mountain. I was out scouting for deer season when I ran into this cow and calf. Beautiful day, and they sure were an enjoyment to watch. Moose in the Barkhamsted Wilderness. Good day to be in the woods. Love this place. The video footage of this bull moose isn't great because it's so far away. I've got the camera zoomed in as far as it'll go. This bull here is actually between 35 and 40 inches wide and is, without question, the biggest bull I've seen while out hunting in Connecticut. I made a few calls to him. He didn't seem too interested and finally moved off. But as he turns, you can see the length and width of his paddles. Well, I don't know if there's any deer here, but there's plenty of moose. That's about a 35-inch bull. Pretty cool. Hartland now. I ran into this young bull after making a half-hour hike up into the hills. He was curious of my presence, but certainly didn't want to stick around very long. It's a really neat experience watching him run up through the woods and crest the hill. This particular cow's feeding in Hartland, Connecticut in a big clear cut. I ran into her mid-morning. Beautiful sight. It's like a wonderland out here. That is so cool. Seeing more moose than deer. These 2 young moose come in just before dark, crashing down through the woods. In this footage here, there's actually a cow and a calf. The calf is hard to see. She's up in the hills there. You can just see part of her moving. but again, stalking up into some thick, high country, cow and a calf out feeding. This encounter with moose happened this past hunting season in 2022. It's probably the best footage I have over all the years that I've been out filming. I've hunted this area quite a bit for whitetails and taken quite a few deer in the area, including a really nice buck. This young cow calf was not at all worried about me. She was very curious. I don't think she had probably ever seen a human before. And she just kept getting closer and closer, trying to figure out what I was.
Got a moose here at about 10 yards. The wilds of Connecticut. About 5 yards away now. Coming even closer. All right, moose, time to go. Doesn't seem too concerned.
She finally closes the gap to spitting distance. I'm actually up on a boulder that's about 5 feet across and about 10 feet long. I'm sitting right in the middle of it, and she comes right up alongside of it.
It's about 3 yards.
She finally decides that she's had enough and moves off as I try to get back to deer hunting.
Okay, maybe I can get back to the deer hunting now. Distraction's gone.
That young calf had moved off and hadn't been gone very long when I heard more crashing from where she had originally come from. Shortly, a young bull shows up, and he was my entertainment for the rest of the afternoon hunt. Both the young cow and this young bull were feeding on green ferns in the woods. They were also eating lichen and moss off the bases of the rocks and trees. As snow began to fall, the bull passed by at about 50 yards.
The moose are getting bigger. That's a young bull. It's pretty cool. You don't see that very often in Connecticut, but in this part of Connecticut you do.
The majority of people I've talked to in Connecticut have never even seen a moose. I feel very fortunate to have seen as many as I have. They're not everywhere in Connecticut, but in the northwest corner, in certain pockets, you certainly can run into them. I've been very lucky to have the encounters that I have had over the years with these great woodland creatures.
I'm hunting deer here in Connecticut. I've got a moose that walked right up to me. Less than 10 feet.
crazy.